Welcome to the verse-by-verse study of the book of Proverbs. We shall begin chapter 12 today. This chapter uses the same format as prior chapters of contrasting two behaviors separated by that but. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is stupid, unwise. This word love means that the wise appreciate, that they embrace knowledge. They have a desire for wisdom. Likewise, they also embrace discipline that must come with knowledge. It means to listen, to accept both instruction and, where necessary, correction, to be mentored or tutored and be held accountable for diligence, as opposed to the arrogant, which is the fool, that refuse instruction and especially refuse correction. They have no desire to grow in wisdom. This word stupid does not mean a lack of intelligence, but more a lack of attitude, an attitude of pride and arrogance that basically says, I am smarter than everyone else. I do not need your instructions, and I certainly do not need your corrections. Verse 2 says, good people obtain favor from the Lord, but he condemns those who devise wicked schemes. This word good means those that follow God's wisdom. God's ways and his will always be good. Those that use their time, their talent, and their treasure for good will be blessed. Those that use their talent for evil will not be blessed. God will allow their sins to have consequences. Next, no one can be established through wickedness, but the righteous cannot be uprooted. To be established means to experience peace and security as a sense of wholeness, both emotionally and spiritually. Peace and contentment that surpasses, as the book of Philippians tells us, all worldly understanding, as opposed to the wicked who will find no peace, no security, no wholeness, just brokenness from their ill-gotten gains and discontent. A wife of noble character is her husband's crown, but a disgraceful wife is like decay in his bones. We shall see that Proverbs speaks a great deal about the relationship between husbands and wives. Here, this word noble character is a biblical term. It means to be virtuous. It's a combination of integrity, caring, which means to be selfless as opposed to selfish, and to be accountable, to be upright and responsible. It is the opposite of being dishonest, unethical, and uncharitable. A good example in Scripture of noble character is Ruth. Ruth was described as having noble character. Recall she lost her husband, but she refused to abandon the mother-in-law Naomi when she had lost all of her sons. God blessed her with her faithfulness and her courage and her character with a new marriage to a kindly Boaz. And recall that their son became the grandfather of King David, the line of David. Proverbs is telling us it is a blessing, a true blessing, to be married to someone that has noble character. And the opposite is true. Sadly, to be married to someone that lacks moral character causes that spouse to experience a gradual deterioration, again, both physically, emotionally, and potentially spiritually. The word actually means to decay, to rot from the inside out. The plans, meaning the motivation of the righteous, are just, but the advice of the wicked is deceitful. So we have advice from the righteous is just, meaning counsel, advice. But the wicked's advice, counsel, may sound and wise and flattering, but the true objective and motivation is often deceit, manipulation, to only benefit themselves. The next verse 6 is closely related. The words of the wicked lie in wait for blood, but the speech of the upright rescues them. Here we have the term lay in wait, meaning that the words the wicked will use will ambush us, stab us in the back. They'll use their words to gossip, tell lies, half-truths behind our back, as opposed to the wise who can always be depended upon to stand up, to defend the truth and be trustworthy. The wicked are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous stands firm. Again, this is a repeated theme, meaning the reputation or the legacy of the wicked will not endure, will not stand. And a house built on sin will not last, as opposed to the righteous, their legacy will endure. A person is praised according to their prudence, and one with a warped mind is despised. Prudence is another word here for following God's wisdom. That person will develop a respected reputation for their character. They have a reputation for honesty, uprightness, and to be trusted. Again, if we go back to Ruth as an example, recall that in Ruth 3:11, Boaz said to her, all the people of my town, this is a reputation, all the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character. In other words, this is a person that is straightforward, as opposed to crooked or bent, as stated here, warped, meaning deceptive, dishonest, and over time they gain a reputation as being despised because they've harmed so many people. Better to be a nobody and yet have a servant than pretend to be somebody and have no food. What we have here in this proverb is a conflicting choice between, quote, humility, unquote, and living a life that is false, a life full of pride and pretense. The world tends to admire celebrities, especially the ones that have this entourage, here described as a servant. Yet sometimes when you look deeper at that celebrity's life, they're spending more money than they make. They're deep in debt. Their relationships are in sad shape. And oftentimes they're not taking care of their family. They're a superficial pretender, as opposed to someone that the world would often call a nobody, as opposed to that somebody, is someone that is not a celebrity, is a nobody, someone that's not rich, not powerful by the world's standards. But God sees that, quote, nobody with noble character, hardworking, caring, dedicated to their family and their community. That person will find God's favor. The righteous care for the needs of their animals, but the kindness act of the wicked are cruel. Here we have a proverb comparing the heart of the wicked with the heart of the compassionate. The wise have a compassionate heart of Christ. The righteous compassion includes not only their family and their neighbors, but also their animals. This humane treatment of animals didn't begin with PETA or with Whole Foods, but it began with God's wisdom. Care here means that not only does the wise have compassion, they also have knowledge to understand the needs of their livestock. And God will bless this caring behavior with healthy and more productive livestock, as opposed to the wicked that attempt to manage their animals with cruelty, with inhumane treatment, likely the same way they treat other people under their authority. Those who work their land will have abundant food, but those who chase fantasies have no sense. Here, to work the land means, again, to be diligent and dedicated, to take pride in doing a job well. And they will always have food on the table, is what the proverb is telling us, as opposed to someone that is not necessarily cruel or wicked, but more lazy and prone to chase ways to cut corners, to be sloppy, and chase get rich quick schemes to avoid working. And these schemes lack common sense because this person did not invest any time of due diligence. They are lazy. Next, The wicked desire the stronghold of evildoers, but the root of the righteous endures. Again, we have a repeated theme. The wicked attempt to gain their security, their peace, their stronghold from the fruit of their crime, which God promises will not endure and will not satisfy, while the gains of the righteous will indeed satisfy and endure. Evildoers are trapped by their sinful talk, but the innocent escape trouble. Another word for trap would be ensnared. Proverbs is telling us here that the wicked often attempt to use their words to manipulate and harm others, but often because of their ego and lack of discipline, their mouth actually entraps them, ensnares them. Because our words are actually a reflection of the condition of our heart. In the book of Luke, it says, a good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and an evil brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. But, here's the key, for the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. And this verse makes a beautiful promise. If we walk and talk with God's wisdom, we'll escape much trouble that comes from our mouth. We shall stop there with verse 13. We're halfway through chapter 12. We'll finish up the chapter next week. Until then, may God bless you and your family with both grace and peace. Aloha.